Happy New Year, and yes, it's a story time.
Hi, and welcome back to my channel. We're going to make this real quick and easy. This is part two of our recap of 2022, and it's also a story time of what happened to us coming back from our vacation before our last vacation of 2022. And if you just clicked on it because you saw United's name in it, the title, welcome to our channel. It is Travel Buddies, everything travel, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if you're here because this is your first time and you just clicked on because you wanted to hear story time, welcome. Like, comment, and subscribe. Now, let's get started, shall we? This story time is short and sweet and to the point, hopefully. But let me give you a little backstory of the backstory. We flew from New Orleans to Antalya, Turkey, December 1st, and we came back into the States December 26th of 2022. Okay, on our way back, we decided to stop in Frankfurt, Germany, and we had the night of the December 25th, Christmas, and we left Frankfurt, Germany on the 26th. We headed back to the States and arrived in Washington, D.C. about 5 or 6 p.m. on the 26th. Now, our flight was an hour delayed coming from Frankfurt, Germany to Washington, D.C. So when we arrived into D.C., we hadn't got a notification or anything from United Airlines. So when we um, got there, we decided we're going to go ahead because we had a 5 hour delay, layover, before we headed to New Orleans. However, because of the hour delay, now it was a 4 hour. So we was just going to go find a United lounge to hang out in for our 4 hours before we headed to New Orleans. And the reason why we wasn't going to leave the airport or do anything when we got to DC, because we do have a family member in DC, the only reason we wasn't going to leave is because we had a flight on the 29th at 5:50 a.m. We had to be at the airport on the 29th at 3:50 a.m. So we just wanted to relax, release, and get home for those 2 days so we can I can get my wax, my hair done. I didn't need to do my nails because I got those done in Turkey. I got to get them done now, but I didn't have to get them done in because I got them done in Italia. And I wanted to shop and get a couple more things for our New Year's trip. Because every year we take a New Year's trip. If you want to go watch our recap of the last video to hear about those trips, go right ahead. But that's what we usually do. And this was cutting into our New Year's trip. So, as we found out that our flight was canceled, we went ahead, stood in that line for United. They came around and told us, gave us a little card, to call customer service because it's the same as going to the counter. And once you do talk to them, you still want to go to the counter to make sure everything is okay and your bags are all good. So that's what we did. And there was another couple that was on our Frankfurt flight that was in front of us and decided not to call, but we went ahead and called. And when we were on the phone, they said the only thing that they have available is the 28th of December at 9 p.m. Oh my goodness. Now y'all know on December 29th at 3:50 a.m., I have to be in New Orleans Airport. So if anything happens with this 9 p.m. flight on the 28th, I'm screwed. Okay? Excuse my French, but I am. So I was a little nervous. However, you got to take it to the chin and be ready and prepared when you travel. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put my hands into United's hands and make sure that hopefully we'll get home in time to catch my next flight to head to um, my next destination for my New Year's trip. Now, it probably wouldn't have been a problem if it was a United flight, but we were going on another airline for our New Year's trip. Okay, so we went ahead and we secured that flight because that was the soonest we can get out of DC. Okay, so said okay. We waited for the agent after our after the other couple went to their agent. We went to our agent. We got to our agent and she said, okay, let me see what we have available. I said, oh, don't have to do that. We already had called. We already got a flight. So, okay, well, let me check and see if your bag's going to the same, going to meet you into New Orleans. Okay. We gave our bag tag. She checked, got it all squared away. Okay. I said, well, since we're here now from the 26th through the 28th, do y'all offer hotel? She said, wait, let me check. She looked down. She put in her computer. She said, unfortunately, due to weather, our policy is we can't do anything because of weather. I said, okay. I picked up my phone and I said, well, I need to find a hotel room for 3 nights. So I went ahead and started finding a hotel for the 2 nights, but I decided to do three because we don't leave till late. So I went ahead and I did that. In the process of doing that, um, my husband stated to the lady, he said, you sure? Like, we're going to be here 3 days. And she said, hold on. So she walked to the agent who was helping the couple that we were with and asked her. And she said, it's weather. Can't do nothing about it. Okay, cool. I mean, if you can't do anything, you can't do anything. You have to stick with your company's policy. I get it. So we leave the line. We The other couple leaves their line, and um, he states to me, y'all want to go have dinner and things like that. So we was like, yeah. So we went ahead to go and have dinner because by this time it's about 7 p.m. So we went to have dinner, and as we were having dinner, um, the couple stated that well, we're staying at the DoubleTree, and she said, are y'all getting a ride or a shuttle or whatever to the hotel? I said, yeah, there's a shuttle because the hotel that I booked, the Hilton, has a shuttle. And she said, okay, we have a shuttle too. Y'all going to the DoubleTree as well? I said, no, we're going to the Hilton. She said, oh, they gave y'all the Hilton? They gave us the DoubleTree. I said, they gave? They didn't give us anything. She said, well, we were delayed. I said, yeah. And our next flight was canceled. Ours too. Oh, but ours was weather. Ours was too. Oh. They gave us 3 meals and 2 nights at a hotel. I said, oh, wow. That's not cool. The guy was like, just makes you think it's something else, huh? Say, yeah, it does. And he made a little sly remark, joke about, something, but it didn't faze me at the point. So I get up and I said, well, I'm going back to the agent because that's not fair. And my husband was like, just eat your dinner. No, 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 I can't eat at this point. I'm mad. So I go back to the desk and I inform the young lady that a counterpart of ours got a hotel and dinner. We didn't. And the young lady next to me, she was screaming because she had two small kids, and she was like, I can't stay out here. I don't have it. And she was in tears. She didn't have any money. And I'm like, what's fair is fair, you know. And so I was very nice and polite. I stated that this other couple received a hotel, and I whispered because I didn't want to cause a scene. And the young lady said to me, maybe I'm not the right color or something to that effect. And she laughed. I didn't think it was very funny at all. Um, and then she stated something else, and and she was like, "Well, it is what it is," pretty much, real little snarty. And the lady that helped us first time, she was standing there like, "Oh my gosh," and I was like, "Well, I don't think this is fair," but I didn't want to, get loud and, because other people was getting waited on, other people were upset. I mean, and at the point, I did have a hotel secured. I did have the money to pay for a hotel, but it was just the principle that how can you do for one, but you can't do for the other? And it's the same reasoning. And I just took it thinking, okay, maybe y'all's situation was a little different from mine, and that's how maybe where you were going, the plane wasn't available. Maybe it was all United and it wasn't weather. But when he said it was weather, I was floored. So I sent United an email because at this point it was getting late. And again, I didn't want to. I'm sorry, y'all had to move this. I didn't want to stop my flight because again, I did have a flight on the 29th in the morning, and I didn't want to make anybody upset with me that they kicked me off that flight, and then I did still have to find another airline and whatever. I wanted to give United the benefit of the doubt, so I sent them an email and went ahead and enjoyed my weekend. It wasn't a weekend. The 2 days that I was in DC. Until it was time for me to catch my flight. Went ahead on the 29th. I hadn't heard from United. Sent that email on that night of the 26th. Hadn't heard from United the 27th, the 28th. The 28th, I went ahead and caught my flight that night. Got to the airport at 4 just in case anything was off. But it was smooth sailing. I got on my flight. Um, Actually, I didn't have the seats that I paid for, but it was what it was. Um, they just gave me any random seats, but I paid for seats, so hey, it was what it was. I just was ready to get home so I can go to my next flight. So I got home on the 28th at we stopped, got dinner and stuff like that, y'all. I walked in my house at 12:15 a.m. on the 29th. Okay. Um, and when I got home, of course, I had to rush to do everything, and I was still on Turkish time. So, of course, I took a nap. Um, and didn't get to wash all my clothes and do everything I needed to do because I had to be back at the airport. I pretty much told my Uber driver, um, yeah, if you're working in a couple hours, just come right back. He laughed. He said, "No, actually, you're my last." So I went ahead and booked my next Uber driver for 3:30. Went inside, took a shower, threw those clothes in the laundry, and hurried up and packed my other clothes. Time I finished packing, it was 2 a.m. I laid down to take a nap, and the next thing I know, my Uber driver was blowing the horn. So needless to say, we made it to our next flight without a hitch. But the 29th, I flew out the country. We went to Meaches. I didn't hear from United. The 30th, I was in Meaches. Um, Brought in the new year on the 31st. The 1st, the 2nd. I want to say that's when I heard from United. I want to say they called me then. But it was bad. We were doing phone tag because it was bad reception me being out of the country. So I didn't talk to a United representative until January 9th. No, I take that back. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, United. It was not the 9th. I talked to United January the 5th. I returned home on the 9th. January the 5th, I talked to United. And that is uncalled for United. But
But hopefully, they'll rectify the situation. Thanks, United.